Wanted to show you this video of a Bernie Sanders surrogate that goes on Fox News, and you can see the questions that they're asking. They're definitely trying to trap this guy, talking about communism and Bernie's support of authoritarian regimes. The guy seemed fairly educated and he handled it pretty well. Let's go ahead and watch.
Who's defending policies that are about socialism. It's not us bringing it up. But let's end in the last minute on this, not just the plans that are socialist in nature, but the fact that Bernie Sanders on that stage continues to defend the regime of Fidel Castro and saying, look, he had this literacy program. Mercedes Slapp from the Trump campaign was here on the program earlier. She said her father was thrown in prison by the Castro regime. How can you defend that? Just because they educate some kids, they also raped people, murdered people, put others in prison. How do you defend that?
It's almost as if maybe you guys weren't listening to Bernie Sanders last night and what he said repeatedly, which is that, and the same thing President Obama said, which is there were some good things that came out of what he did, but authoritarianism, which he practiced, and Bernie Sanders was very clear that Fidel Castro was an authoritarian, that should be denounced at every turn, that dissent should be allowed and shouldn't be imprisoned. He said that over and over again. So if you guys want to bring up...
He's trying to say, I'm against authoritarianism,
no, he didn't.
But he's okay with socialism and communism, Bernie Sanders?
No, he you know, you guys have to stop lying on the air. He doesn't say he's okay with socialism and he didn't say he's okay with socialism and communism. That's just not true.
Authoritarianism. He didn't call out socialism and communism.
He said that look, authoritarianism is a feature of communism. He said that he is not okay with authoritarianism wherever it happens. And you guys want to throw around these terms, that's fine. The truth is our ideas are popular with the American people. These are progressive ideas. Socialism means a government takeover of the economy, of all the means of production. Nobody's talking about that. We are talking about making an economy and having rules, an economic bill of rights to make sure that people are treated fairly and equitably, and that's not what's happening now. That's why our movement is so popular. That's why things are going well for Bernie. That's why he's the first candidate to win the popular vote in the first three Democratic primaries. And that's why we're going to defeat Donald Trump.
Were the people thrown in Castro's prisons treated fairly and equitably?
Of course not. And stop saying that we're saying that. Of course we're not saying that. And Bernie has denounced that at every turn. Of course not. Of course they were not treated fairly and equitably. It's a ridiculous question.
All right.
Well, just in a word or two, how was the performance of Bernie Sanders last night? Did he come out a winner?
I would say that it was 5-on-1 on Bernie last night, and he came out still talking about how our campaign is motivational and aspirational. And so I'm very confident that when he's on one-on-one with a fraud like Trump, he'll do just fine.
So the surrogate does a pretty good job as he's talking with the Fox News anchors. Just some of the things they were saying, though. They start off by saying, like, Castro threw people in jail. He was brutal to his people. How can you defend that? And the guy just points out, like, no, Bernie never actually defended that. He said they had good literacy and that their literacy had improved over time. Exactly what Barack Obama said. No one was going wild when Barack Obama said that. But when Bernie says it, all of a sudden it's this big, crazy thing. The surrogate highlighted that Bernie denounced authoritarianism. The Fox anchor then says, but he didn't denounce communism. That points out authoritarianism is a feature of communism. This was a guy that knew what he was talking about. Understand, you can have someone that's a democratic socialist that hates communism. George Orwell or Eric Blair, the same guy. He wrote 1984, he wrote Animal Farm. He did not like communism, but he was a democratic socialist. This guy was defending Bernie pretty well. He was able to call ridiculous questions out for what they are. He highlighted that Bernie is receiving more support from individuals than any other candidate. When the anchor said, when the guy is talking about fairness, the Bernie surrogate talking about fairness, Medicareforall, people receiving basically a fair shake in our system, the guy says, were those people that were in prison treated fairly? And the guy points out, no, we never said that. Of course not. You can see just the way that they're trying to trap the surrogate with the questions. They're hoping that they would have some wild guy that would just start saying crazy things, and they could play that, and it could be breaking news of a Bernie Sanders surrogate who praised Castro. And in all reality, this is the type of interview they probably would like to avoid. It's not going to be one that is being discussed about like crazy, and it's not one that makes Bernie look bad. The guy did a pretty good job of representing Bernie and the messages of the campaign. Supporting Medicareforall, supporting action on climate change, those aren't radical ideas. Helping parents with childcare costs, those aren't radical ideas. That's not socialism. That's not communism. People's businesses aren't going to get taken away. We're still going to have a mixed economy as we have always had before. You can just see the way that Fox News, they love to try and frame things. They love to try to control the narrative as they have guests on. Thank you for watching.